Welcome to PhD&D on YouTube and the next installment in the world building series, this time on cities and towns. Apologize for the gap in timing between world building videos, but we're back, we're at it. So today we're going to talk about developing cities and towns within your world. Now locations, keep in mind, locations such as cities and towns can be one of the most memorable parts of any RPG campaign. People are going to remember these locations they visit, usually more often than they'll remember a certain magic item or person. Locations really stand out for player characters, so we're going to focus on that. Now it's best to start with a simple idea for a town and then just blow it out of proportion. That's your inspiration for the city or town. Almost like a gimmick. Take something very simple and just blow it up. That will give you a good idea of what you want. Now an example of that might be, well, this is a farming community. We'll start very simple. The idea of a farming community. Now, how do we take something with that and blow it out of proportion? Well, what do they farm? Are they melon farmers? They have like watermelons that they grow? Are they like apple orchards? Maybe this farming community, they have apple orchards. Let's go with that. But they have so many apple orchards that the town perhaps is within an apple orchard itself. Now, that's a strange idea, but we've created an interesting location where there's actually a town within almost a forest or an apple orchard. You can also have something along the lines of maybe it's a walled community, but the entire inside is an apple orchard. See where I'm going with that? Kind of weird. Maybe that's not the exact idea you want to use, but you're taking something very simple and blowing it out of proportion, making it really weird, because that's going to have it stand out. That's going to give it an interesting feature that's very memorable. So start with that, but then I usually like to build cities and towns from the outside in. I don't like to start inside with, okay, well, we got this building here, this building here. No, because I like to approach it from the minds or the eyes of the players, the characters here. Imagine walking up to this city or town that you're working on. Imagine walking up the main road into town. What types of things are you seeing? What are the first things that stand out? Are you seeing, towering structures clear up into the sky? Are you seeing an apple orchard? Are you seeing perhaps very low buildings? Or perhaps you're just seeing walls. Maybe the walls are taller than any of the buildings. Imagine what you are seeing first. Then, from there, pick out those extremely tall buildings. Pick out the towering structures, and what are they? What are those there for? Why are they so tall? That kind of gives you the idea of the outside-in building that I'm getting after. And the reason I do that is because you're presenting this world to players and characters, and that's the way they're going to view it. They're not going to view it from the inside out. So approach it that way. Along with that, use all the senses. How do things, first of all, look, like we said? What are they hearing? As they're approaching this town, you're going to want to be able to describe these things for better flavor anyways. So what are they hearing in town? Is this a bustling, market community where everyone's busy all day? Is it a quaint farming community where it's very quiet and you can hear nature? What types of things are they hearing in this city or town? Now, smells is a big one. What are they smelling? Are they smelling maybe a pig farm? Or are they smelling this wonderful smell of fresh apples from the orchard? Think of those things as well to add flavor to the community, and it helps in the building of it. If they're smelling this nasty sewage smell, then that can lead to a whole range of things. Maybe there's a sewage problem. Maybe this is just a very dirty town. But yeah, now you can see from those senses we're starting to build this town or community. Now, after you've used those senses and start going into getting your ideas for the city, and we're approaching, think of common things. City walls is a big one. If there's city walls, there's going to be guards at the gate. More than likely, in a lot of towns and communities in fantasy settings, you get taxed at the gate based on, and this isn't in every situation, but you get taxed at the gate based on what you're bringing into the town, how much gold you have, etc. So think about things like that. Clearance to get into town. There's walls there for a reason if they're there. If walls are not there, you've also got to consider that this town probably sprawls out a ways. I'm not talking quite like suburbs, but there might be encampments that just kind of ripple out from the town because there's nothing constricting them in. So think about city walls as a big thing. Next up, we approach it from the character's point of view of what are they going to be doing there? What are you going to actually have them interacting with? That's the first steps to take in developing any details, because in world building you're going to develop a lot of things that they don't necessarily need. So why not start with the things that they do need? Go into things like, okay, they're going to need an inn. More than likely they need somewhere to stay. Where is there in this town? Somewhere to socialize, the tavern, the standby tavern. Where are they? How many are there? Come up with different names and so forth for that. Other things, are they going to need an armory? Are they going to need somewhere to buy clothes? What are your players interested in? Do they actually go out and buy food? Find out where the food's going to be. And then we get to who's in charge. The people in this town, if it's a group of people, if it's a lord, if there's a king there, that's when you come up with them. Now, that is an extremely important part, because you should not just name them and say so-and-so's in charge and here's the layout of the government. No. I've said before in some of my very first videos that NPCs are what are going to make your world stand out and your game stand out above everything else. That's where you put the real time and effort into. Those NPCs, why are they in charge? How did this person get in charge? What's his relationship, his or her relationship with everyone in the town? Think about those things as well. Now, a very simple starting point, and I'm going to wrap up with this, is the rule of 3, which is for every location that you create, for every city, I should say, or settlement that you create, what is there to do for the PCs? Not talking inns or taverns, what adventures, what quests are there to do? And usually you want to create at least 3 locations per city or town, at least 3 different locations around there that the PCs can actually go and have an adventure at. Now, that can be 3 different dungeons or 3 interesting locations. Maybe there's a cave, a dungeon, and a forest. But create those 3 locations at least to spawn even more adventures. And what I like to do is take that and actually do 3 more. You have 3 locations. Let's take that cave, that dungeon, and the forest. And each of those has 3 separate adventures possible. Whether that be 3 NPCs in town that have information per one, or whether that be, maybe there's postings in town, maybe you need to go kill a group of bandits. I'm just thinking on simple terms here. But rule of 3, have at least 3 adventure spots per town or community. And that's a very simple and basic approach to building cities and towns, and I'm going to go a little further into it in my Advanced World Building series, which will follow this one, and that will get into populations, statistics for cities and things like that. But those things are all unnecessary if you're just creating this for the purpose of being able to run a game with it. So that's what this video is for. I hope it helped, and stay tuned. We'll have another one out in a week or 2, and the next step in world building. Thanks for watching.